Alright folks, welcome back to Nekton Sports videos on how to set up your new control box with Optishot. So what we're going to do here is we're going to show you guys how to map out your box correctly so that you are able to take it into the Optishot software and start hitting some balls away. So first things you got to do is make sure that your box is connected at this point. So whether you have a wireless box, take the adapter, plug it into your computer, or whether you have a wired box, go ahead and take your cable and plug it into your computer. Once it is plugged in, you will actually hear a sound. So very similar to this. So there's that sound that knows that we are good to go. Next step that you want to do is go ahead and turn on your wireless box if you have a wireless one, or start testing out your wired box. So the way that you test it and to make sure that everything's working correctly is simply by hitting one of the buttons. So in my case, I'm going to hit the up button on my control box. You'll see on the right hand side that whenever I hit the up button, button number 1 is being highlighted on the right hand side with a yellow highlight. Same thing if I hit really any of the other buttons, right? Some of the buttons you won't see because I need to scroll down. But if I hit all of my buttons, they are all going to have one of the following buttons highlighted. The only two buttons that will not highlight if you have a wireless box is the last two on the top right. So those are meant for PlayStation and Xbox, so you won't be able to utilize those, but you can utilize the other three on the left hand side. So next thing, what we want to do is we actually want to name this profile. So one thing that I like to do on mine, just make sure that if I'm running, for example, I myself run 2 different simulators depending on who I'm playing with. I am fortunate enough to have both the Optishot as well as the SkyTrack as of recently. So I'm going to go ahead and name this for Optishot. Rename it. Go ahead and put Optishot here. Hit OK. And then what we want to do is just want to make sure that we get this configured. So I do have a list of preferred shortcuts onto my website. So if you go onto nektonsports.com, go under the install instructions and video, just where you were earlier in the previous video. You can click on the available shortcuts for Optishot. Click on that. That'll open a secondary screen that gives you essentially all of the keyboard shortcuts available for Optishot. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and map our control box to these shortcuts. So I'm going to pull that to the side, leave it out here, bring this. So the way that you map out your Joy-to-Key software with your control boxes, again, click on, for example, we'll hit the up button on this one. That is button 1 on my box and is being highlighted in button 1 in the Joy-to-Key. Click on this. It'll highlight it in blue. Hit edit button assignment. From here on out, you want to essentially just type in the letter that correlates to that specific shortcut. So in our case, if that is going to be club up or club down, it is simply just the up arrow, right? So we're going to go ahead and do the up on the up button. That'll put an arrow up here. Hit OK. That one's all set. So now if I click the button 1, or in this case, in my box, the up button on my Nekton Sports box, click on that. You can see it is replicating the shortcut that we put into our keyboard as well as into our Joy-to-Key. So hit the down. That is button 2 on my end. Go ahead and hit button 2. Add an assignment. The down arrow on your keyboard. Hit OK. Then we're going to go to reshot. Reshot is actually our mulligan. So that is button 3 on my box. All boxes should be the same, so if you're seeing the same setup, it should be the same for you. There might be a case where we put a wire in a different spot, so just make sure that your box correlates to the specific button that you want to make. So just go ahead and hit button assignment. Mulligan is M, so hit the M, hit OK. Then what we want to do is hit the left on your box. That is button number 5. Click on button number 5, add a button assignment, hit the left arrow on your keyboard, then hit OK. Then we want to go right, button 6, click on 6, add a button assignment, hit the right arrow on your keyboard, hit OK. Now data, that is button number 7. hit button number 7, edit button assignment. So data on the software or on Optishot is actually, let me just double check to make sure that I do have it correctly. Yep, it is D. So this is the data that pops up on the left hand side. Whenever you hit a shot, it shows you the club path, it shows you the speed, it shows you a couple of different other parameters that Optishot uses in order to simulate what the shot is going to look like within the software. So hit the D on here for data, hit OK. Flyby, that is button number 8. Hit button number 8, edit button assignment. I believe flyby is F, correct? Yep, F. So we hit the F key here, hit OK. Now we're all set. As you can see, we're making progress on all of our boxes. Escape. So this button is really a matter of preference. The reason why we have it escape is simply for you guys to be able to use it for whatever you want. So in my case, I'm going to use it as a scorecard. So whenever I click that, I want the scorecard to come up. So escape button is number 4 on my end. Again, if you guys want to utilize any of these shortcuts, you can update it as such. For example, I know some people like to be able to, for example, remove the overhead map. So that's the map on the right hand side of the screen that shows you where you are in relation to the hole or where you need to hit next. Some people like to remove all of the things from their screen so that only the course itself is shown, so give a little bit more of a realistic view. Again, that's not my cup of tea. If that's your cup of tea, that's completely fine. So I'm going to go ahead and just use the scoreboard menu screen on mine, and I believe that is S. So I'm going to go ahead and hit S, hit OK. All set there. Missed one. Again, same thing as escape. That is button number 10 on my box. I can update this to whatever I want. In my case, one that I use a lot is going to be the change shot type, right? So do you want to hit something that's a little bit more floppy versus something that's not? Do you want to hit, those type of shots? So the way that you set that up is actually very pretty easy. As you can see on the actual key that you need to click on is Control plus up, right? So Control up will essentially rotate through all of those different shot types, right? The trajectory essentially. So if you just continue to hit Control up, it's just going to cycle through all of them. So you really only need one button to be able to cycle through all of the different trajectories that Optishot allows you to do. So in my case, I'm just going to do the up button, since again, you can either do it up or down, doesn't necessarily matter. But the way that you set that up in the Joy Key software is very simple. All you got to do is make sure that you're using both of the shortcuts in these two boxes. So for example, if we know that we need to have Control plus or Control up, in my case, all we're going to do is hit the Control on the first box and then up on the second box. Again, same thing if you want to do down, you can do down, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to go ahead and do up. That is essentially the sequence that is going to follow. As if you guys can see here, combining an Alt or key such as Control plus, it just essentially just says please assign Control to the key at the top of the box and then the other key right below it. So that's essentially what we did here. Just hit OK. We're all set there. And then on my box, I'm wiring. I actually have a wireless box right now. So for those that have a wired box, you only have 10 buttons. You have one more button that you can utilize. Again, same thing. Whatever you prefer in terms of your play style from a keyboard shortcut standpoint, utilize that for that specific button. For those folks that bought a wireless box, you actually have 3 more buttons that you can implement to whatever shortcut you want. So in this case, for me, since I'm running a wireless one, it is going to be button 9, button 11, and button 12. So button 11, which is actually the first one next to the power button on your control box. In my case, I'm going to update that, hit button assignment. I'm going to make that a, let's see, we will do, let's just do something like overhead map. So we'll just remove that overhead map so you guys know what I'm talking about. So just hit O, hit OK. Then we want to do the next button, button 12. Hit edit button assignment. From here on out, we want to do Let's see, which one do we want to do? Scorecard. Really doesn't matter at this point. It's just a matter of preference. So here's the popular ones. All right, change hands. So I know when you guys invite people that are lefties or righties, obviously they're gonna have to update that based off of whatever their preference is. So we're gonna head and do H on that for handness. So we'll do H. Hit OK. And then last but not least, my last button, button 9. We will do edit button assignment. On this one, let's do replay shot. R. Actually, no, I don't really do replay a whole lot. Let's do remove the flag marker. Yeah, that one's annoying. I hate having that on my screen. So just go hit OK. So we are all set. So you can test this out. As you see, as I click any buttons on my control box, you see the buttons changed accordingly. So at this point, all you got to do is just run Optishot, right? So I'm going to quit that off. I'm going to have myself launch Optishot. Remember, you got to keep this running in the background and then 100% sure that you run the Optishot software as admin. We've already set that up in the previous video, but just in case you're having issues with your box not registering, 99.999% of the time is because you did not run Joy to Key as an admin. So make sure you run it as an admin. Otherwise, essentially, Optishot will not let it do the according shortcuts. So go ahead and run Optishot. You'll probably see a black screen on my screen right now. That's simply just because of the recording software that I'm utilizing. We'll get through the screen. We'll test this out. I will update later. I'm not going to sign in quite yet. We're just going to go to practice, and then we're going to test out all of our functions. Make sure that everything is working properly. And we will be all set. So here we go. So let's try the left arrow or left button on your control box. So if I hold it, it goes left, right? If I hit it once, it just moves a little bit. Hit the right, it's going to go right. If I hit the club up, if you look on the bottom right hand side, it is going to cycle through all, whoops, don't want to do that. So as you can see, I am cycling through all of the different options, right? So I'm hitting the down right now. If I want to go back up, I can go back up. Then we want to do reshot. I haven't taken a shot, so obviously you're not going to have a mulligan right now, but that is set up for such. Data, so there's the screen that I was referring to. You can click that in and out. It'll come back every time you hit it, or if you hit it again, it'll go away. Then we have the flyby. That'll show you essentially the hole that you're on. In this case, we have the driving range. And then, which one else did we do? I'm forgetting. Let's see. Let me go back to this. So we did, oh yeah, trajectory on miscellaneous 1, and then for the button number 4, which is escape, we did scorecard. So if we go back to Optishot, right? Look on the right hand side. I'm hitting the MISC 1 button that's going through the trajectory cycle. If I hit the escape, we just set up as the scorecard. That will obviously not pop up because there's a scorecard right here. But some of the other buttons that we had tested was removing the overhead map. There's the overhead map removal whenever I click that button. We also did the removing of the flag marker. So if I click that, that is removing it there. And then last but not least, let me remember which button we utilized for this one. H, which was hand, right? So if I click that, it shows you, obviously it's not doing it right now because, oh actually, yeah, sorry, it's the top left hand side. So if you click on this button, you can see that it is going from right hand to left hand to left hand. If you ever need to do that, if you have some friends over. So that is a quick setup on how to map out your control box with Optishot. Again, very important that you run the Joy to Key software as administrator. If you do not run it as administrator, you are likely not going to have the Optishot software make the updates. And what I mean by updates is essentially just being able to use the keyboard shortcuts that you set up. That's just a process type of thing that they have. Other than that, that is an easy setup of how to get up and running. Again, if you guys want to change any of these specific shortcuts, you can always click on the specific button, hit edit button assignment, and then change it as needed from that standpoint. So again, guys, thank you so much for taking the time to review this video. Hopefully it was helpful for you. If you have any questions or concerns or thoughts, feel free to reach out to us on our website. I can usually respond within a couple of minutes or so, if not instantly. So thank you for purchasing. I appreciate your support. And if you have any questions, again, feel free to reach out. Thanks so much.